everyone. So for today's video I thought we would do a tier ranking of every book I've rated 5 stars so far, because there are quite a few. There's not loads, but I think there are about 50 or so, and a lot of them, I say a lot, quite a few of them were from, I don't know, like a year or 2 years ago, and I'm not too sure where I'd put them now based on what I now like to read and what I'd think of them. So I thought it would just be a fun thing to go through and sort of see what I rated 5 stars and my thoughts now, if that is still valid or if I think my opinion has now changed. So I've got my laptop here, but I will show you the screen as I go. As you can see, we've got God Tier, Completely Valid, Slight Exaggeration, Made Me Who I Am, and Old Sasha. Also, I got this video idea from Larry, so I would definitely recommend checking out her video because her video was hilarious. So first off, we have Ignite Me, which is one of the books in the Shatter Me series. I actually can't really remember what happened, so but I did like that series, so I'm in between Completely Valid and A Slight Exaggeration because I don't know how I would feel about those books now. Actually, I think I might put Made Me Who I Am because that was like the first fantasy series I read, and as we all know, I love fantasy. That's one of my favourite series. So I think I'm gonna put Made Me Who I Am because that did kind of start my love for fantasy, and it's only grown from there. So the next one we have is Queen of Shadows. I don't even need to say this. Immediately God Tier. That was, still is, sorry, one of my favourite books ever, and I feel like that's one of my favourite books from the whole Throne of Glass series. So I always remember that book. Whenever I think of the series, that and Kingdom of Ash are like the first things that pop up in here. So then we have the Mindfuck series as a whole. I didn't rate all of them 5 stars, but I rated majority of them 5 stars. And I don't think I'd put God Tier, even though I do love that series and I will always recommend it, but Completely Valid. That is one of the best series, like so fun. They're like 5 short novellas. They're so good that you can read them on Kindle Unlimited, which is what I did, and I flew through them. Like they're all, I think, either between, I don't think some of them are less than 200 pages. So if you want a really quick, fast-paced sort of series, especially where the female main character is a serial killer and the male main character is the FBI agent. So fun, and I will defend Lana until the grave. I will defend her. November 9th. Ooh. Now I'm between Slight Exaggeration and Old Sasha because I think that is an exaggeration. I don't think I would rate that 5 stars now, but I'm also like, that was the old me, like the way when I first started reading. So I feel like Old Sasha is just the best spot for that one. Then we have Ninth House. I absolutely loved this book. It was one of my favourite dark academia books, so I feel like Completely Valid. Like, it's not quite God Tier, but it is still Completely Valid. Then we have Caraval. I did enjoy this one, and this was a very unique fantasy. I'd never really read a fantasy quite like it, but if I read it again, would I think it's a 5 star? I don't think so. So I'm going to say Slight Exaggeration for that one because I just don't think I would. I think I'd still enjoy it. I think it's probably in reality like a 4, but at the time I think I was just like obsessed with that whole world. Then we have The Way I Used to Be. It's a good book. I don't think me reading it now would put it at 5 stars, but I think the best place for it is Old Sasha because that was my reading taste has changed quite a lot. So yeah, I feel like that's Old Sasha. The Silent Patient. Do you know what? I'm going to put Completely Valid because I still think that was such a good twist. I had no idea. I didn't see it coming. It was one of my first thrillers I read. I think I read this back in 2023 and I really enjoyed it. I think I read it in lockdown. That can't have been 2023. I think I read it in lockdown like 2020. Must have been 1 or 2. I can't really remember, but I think I read it during lockdown if I'm right, or just after. And I loved it, and I read it so quick. So Just Last Night. I feel like this was a really, really good like contemporary fiction, and I did really enjoy it. I feel like the storytelling was good. I'm in between completely valid or slight exaggeration. But I did have a really good time, and 5 stars is a feeling, so do you know what? I'm going to put that completely valid, because it's not like your typical kind of rom-com. I want to say it's a romance, there is a romance in it, but I personally would put it as a contemporary fiction, because I feel like it's more Emily Henry style of romance, where there's a lot more to the book than just the romance side of it, and I really did enjoy that one. Beach read, I'm going to put completely valid. I don't know if I'd say it's one of my god tier, but it is 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I would always recommend it. Yeah, completely valid. Then we have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This one I don't think I would rate 5 stars now. I still think I would enjoy it, and I did enjoy the book, but I don't think it's 5 to me, so I'm going to put it as slight exaggeration. I know how much people love that book, and I did enjoy it, but now when I compare like what a 5 star is to me, it just wouldn't be there. So next we have The Winners by Fredrik Backman. Immediately god tier. I'm actually just going to put all 3 of the books in the Beartown trilogy. So we've got Beartown, Us Against You, and then The Winners. All 3 of those books are 5 stars to me. They are god tier. Like, obsessed. Always recommend, and I want to reread them because I just miss it so much. So they rightfully deserve to be in god tier. Then we have The Finisher by Runex. This is part of the Darkverse series, and it was one of the first Mafia books, well, series, I ever read. So I feel like it kind of has to go and Made Me Who I Am, because I don't think I would rate it 5 stars now, but like, it created my love into reading. It was one of the first series I ever purchased and binged, and yeah, I feel like it made me who I am. It made me learn my reading taste, and I did really enjoy it. So then we have Quicksilver. I'm going to put this one at completely valid. I wouldn't say it's a god tier book for me, but I loved it. I had such a fun time. I'm so excited for the next one, which is Brimstone, and I think that's out in November, so literally next month. So I feel like it's completely valid. I had a good time. There was such good banter. Just a really good fun romantasy. Then we have Nora Goes Off Script, which I'm really unsure about, because I did really enjoy that book. And I'm like, it was valid because I did really enjoy it, but I'm also thinking, was it a slight exaggeration? Oh, I'm really stuck between the two. I might go, oh, I don't know. I'm gonna go slight exaggeration, I think, because I did really enjoy it and I would recommend it and I had such a good time. But maybe it was more of like a 4.5 when looking back. I think I probably, in the heat of like finishing it, I was like, oh my god, so fun, but I haven't thought about it since. So yeah, whereas like everything else in Completely Valid, I've thought about more than once, or like since finishing it I have thought about it and I've actively recommended it, whereas Nora Goes Off Script, I haven't really spoken about it or mentioned it. So put it a slight exaggeration. Reminders of Him, I'm going to put in Old Sasha, because this, like, current me wouldn't read this book, probably wouldn't have enjoyed this book. The fact I rated 5 stars I'm quite shocked at, but again, I had a good time when I read it, obviously, so I just think it's a different version of me. And then we have It Ends With Us, and that is going in Made Me Who I Am, because that one I enjoyed it, but obviously it was like the start of my reading journey. So it was like it was one of the first books, as a lot of people, it was one of the first books that got me back into reading. So I feel like it needs to be in that. Then we have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I feel like I could put it in Old Sasha, but I feel like I still enjoy a murder mystery kind of thing. So I'm actually going to put it in slight exaggeration. I don't think I would be rating that 5 stars currently. I feel like it's probably a solid 4, but I don't think it's quite 5 stars. So I feel like, yeah, slight exaggeration. The Perfect Couple, I think that has to go in slight exaggeration as well. I really loved that book. It was my first Ellen Hildebrand book, and I really loved it. I thought it was really good. I was so immersed in it, but I haven't thought about it since, to be honest, and I feel like it's probably a 4. Like, in reality, looking back, I'm like, I don't think it gave me that 5 star feeling. Then we have Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan, same author as Nora Goes Off Script. I'm actually going to put that in completely valid because that was the first book I read by her and I absolutely loved it. I highlighted loads of it, I flew through it, I remember it, and I feel like that would be a summer book that I would always think of to recommend. So I feel like that is completely valid. Then we have Things We Never Got Over. It's kind of cropped in this, but this one I'm between Slight Exaggeration and Old Sasha. I feel like I still pick up romancy books like this, but maybe not quite so much. But I still would pick up a Lucy Score book, so I think I'm just going to put it in Slight Exaggeration because, yeah, I don't think Me Today would be ranking that a 5-star. I think maybe like a 3.75, 4-star, maybe somewhere around there. But it was one of my first like romances that I'd read that I just absolutely loved, and I did binge it, so I think it's just a bit of a slight exaggeration. Right, Into the Dark Magnolia Parks. Is it God tier? I don't think it's God tier, but it's completely valid. That book, chef's kiss, loved it. Then we have The Last Letter by Rebecca Yarros. This one did break my heart and I did love it, but I've kind of not thought about it since. Like when people say to me, what heartbreaking book would you recommend? This one for some reason doesn't come to me, whereas it should because it is completely heartbreaking. So I feel like maybe Slight Exaggeration because I don't normally think about it, even though that would be a very good contender, so maybe just a little bit. Then we have The Annihilator. Again, this is one of the dark verse books. I'm going to put it in Made Me Who I Am because it's the same part of the same series, sorry. Then we have Powerless. I'm really torn because I feel like I read this, when did I read this? 2023. And again, it was probably in my like peak fantasy, like starting to get into fantasy part. And I feel like I'm stuck between Made Me Who I Am because I feel like it definitely pushed me into reading fantasy more, and Completely Valid because I think that is completely valid. I would still rate that 5 stars today. I reread it last year and I rated it 5 stars again. So although it's Made Me Who I Am, I feel like it has to be in Completely Valid. You'll notice that the other 2 books in that series are not on here because they just weren't 5-star for me. No, I'm not going to go into that. But yeah, that one I did love and I did recommend to a lot of people and I do think about it. So yeah, Completely Valid. Hook, Line and Sinker, Old Sasha. I, again, still love a fantasy. I still love like a fluffy romance kind of thing. But this being 5 stars, I was actually shocked. Like when I saw it in my 5 stars, I was like, really? Like I rated that 5. I wouldn't rate that 5 today. So I think that's just old me. One Dark Window. Immediately to God tier. I do not shut up about that series. I will recommend it to anyone with ears. I will, yeah, anytime. Oh, watch that. One Dark Window. Shepherd King duology. Perfect. So that is going in God tier. Just for the Summer, again, that is going in God tier. Purely because that is one of the romances that I remember so well. Every single time someone's like, what's a good romance? That is probably one of the first books that will pop into my head. I've looked through the tabs in that book multiple times. I loved it. I loved everything about it. I felt like all in all it was my kind of perfect romance. So that will always be a God tier for me. The Conditions of Will by Jessa Hastings. I absolutely loved this. I don't know if it's going to be one of my God tier books, so I'm going to put it in Completely Valid. It is very close to being God tier. Like, I would love to read that again. I would love to read that for the first time if I could. I still love that book, but I just don't think it's quite God tier. Then we have Onyx Storm. I'm in 2 minds. I feel like it's not God tier, but I think it is just completely valid. Like, I had a good time with it. 5 stars is like a feeling, and the feeling I got the whole time was 5 stars. Maybe if I reread it, I would feel differently, but I really enjoyed it, so that will be there. Great Big Beautiful Life. I'm really torn. I want to say Completely Valid, but I think I might unfortunately put it in Slight Exaggeration. purely because out of all the Emily Henry books, this is not one I think about much. Like, at the time I loved it and I had such a good time reading it, and I still think it is a 5 stars. But actually no, I think it's a 4.5. I think it's like a 4.5, 4.25. But I did have a really good time reading it, and I would recommend it, but it's not one that I think of often to recommend. If someone said recommend an Emily Henry book to me, that isn't one I would think of first. So then we have The Housemaid's Secret, which I'm surprised I didn't actually rate The Housemaid 5 stars, because I feel like I preferred that book. So this one I'm going to put in exaggeration, because I don't think... I really enjoyed that book as well, but I don't think it was a 5 star. Based on like other 5 stars I've rated of Freida McFadden's, I don't think that one would be the top. Then we've got The Final Gambit, which is the last book in the Inheritance trilogy. I think I'm going to put that in Made Me Who I Am, actually, because that was one of the first kind of book, like mystery kind of book that I read. First book by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, but also, yeah, just one of the first ones that, like, of that genre. I read this very early into my reading journey, and I feel like, yeah, it made me who I am with throughout reading. So, right, then we have My Friends by Fredrik Backman. Is this God tier or completely valid? I'm really torn. I actually don't know which one I want to put this one in. I think I'm going to say completely valid, purely because it doesn't hold the same feeling within me as Beartown does, and I feel like Beartown's God tier. So, like, it is still completely valid. I would still rate it 5 stars. I would recommend it. I loved it, but it's not quite God tier. Then we have The Crimson Moth, completely valid. Oh, and we also have Rebel Witch, completely valid, those two. I loved that duology, perfection, so fast paced, such a good plot, the romance, everything was just tick 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 for me. So completely valid. Then we have Daisy Jones, no we don't. Daisy Hates, the first Daisy Hates book. I'm gonna put this one in completely valid, I think. Am I gonna put it in completely valid? Yeah, I think completely valid. I really enjoyed that one. It's not quite a God tier book for me, but I enjoyed it all the same. I feel like if I was to reread, because The Great Undoing isn't on this list for some unknown reason. I don't know why I didn't rate it 5 stars, because now I look back, I think that definitely was. But I am planning to reread the rest of the series. I've reread the first 2 this year in January. I mean, it's now October and I haven't reread any of the others, purely because I've been just reading everything else. But when I reread the last 3 books currently in this series that are left, I think my order will change, and I think The Great Undoing would be on here, but it's not rated 5 stars on my Goodreads, so I can't put it on here. So there were a lot of 4.5s that I would have loved to put on here, but they weren't on there, so I'm not gonna adjust them just for this. So Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home. This is completely valid as well. Absolutely loved this, devoured it. One of the best, like, Magnolia Parks books, I'd say. Like, it was heartbreak, but it was so good, and we get a lot of Julian in that book, and loved it. Heavenly Bodies, I think I'm gonna have to put this God tier. I'm gonna have to put it God tier, because I absolutely loved it. I'm itching to read book 2. I cannot wait for book 2, and I just had such a good time. Like, that was such a fun romance. I read it at the perfect time for me. I would recommend. 6 of Crows, immediately God tier. Oh, and there's Crooked Kingdom. They're both going up in God tier, because that is a fantasy duology that I will never forget about. I will never stop recommending. I would love to reread it, and I probably will at some point, just not quite yet. But yeah, need I say more? That's just, if you haven't read that duology, oh my god, so good. Then we have Iron Flame, and it's a hard one because I feel like the pacing wasn't great, but then everything we found out, and I did have a good time. I was still having a really good time, so I'm gonna have to put it in completely valid. And I think I'll do the same with Fourth Wing. I think completely valid, like all 3 of them. I don't think they're quite God tier yet, and I don't know why that is, because I did really enjoy Fourth Wing. Maybe, do you know what, Fourth Wing? Fourth Wing is God tier. I always recommend it. I think it's one of the best books out of the 3, and it is so fun. So do you know what? Fourth Wing deserves God tier, but the other two just not quite God tier to me just yet. Kingdom of Ash, need I say more, God tier. Oh, and then we have Empire of Storms. Yeah, again, God tier. Like, it deserves that title. And then we have A Court of Wings and Ruin and A Court of Mist and Fury. So A Court of Wings and Ruin was my favourite ACOTAR book when I first read it. I do want to reread it, but that has to go God tier because I think that was... do you know what? No, both of them. Mist and Fury, Wings and Ruin, they're both God tier to me. They were my favourite books. The third one, Wings and Ruin, was definitely my favourite out of all 5 of the books out, but Mist and Fury would definitely be my second. So they both deserve that spot. Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, yes, are immediately God tier. That is a book I will never forget, that I always will recommend and just loved. Then we have Defy Me, which is from the Shatter Me series, and I'm going to put that one with Ignite Me. Let's put them together. So Made Me Who I Am, because again that was the first fantasy series I ever read, so that deserves to be there. And then The Reaper, that is also from the Darkverse series, and that is going to be in Made Me Who I Am. Verity I'm really unsure about, because I kind of think I want to put Old Sasha, but then I kind of think Made Me Who I Am, because that was a book that really got me back into reading as well. I loved it, I read it so quick, so I feel like that deserves to be up there. Then we have Magnolia Parks. Gonna have to be... I think it's gonna have to be, yeah, Completely Valid. Things We Hide from the Light, I think that's gonna have to be... yeah, Slight Exaggeration, the same with the first one. I think that is a little bit of an exaggeration. Anathema, Completely Valid. I absolutely loved that book, and I recently just finished book 2, and yeah, so far absolutely loving that series. Love Redesigned. Do you know what, I'm stuck between... I think maybe Slight Exaggeration. I don't know whether I would now rate it 5 stars, but I did still love that series. I would still recommend it, and I'm really excited to read the third one, but I don't know whether I would now think it's a 5. Maybe I would. I did have a really good time, but I feel like it's not quite completely valid to me. And then, last but not least, we have The Ballad of Never After. Of course, that... oh, I put that in the wrong spot. Of course, that is going in Completely Valid. That it was the best book out of that trilogy, and I absolutely loved it. And the plot twist, I read it in like a day. The amount I've tabbed, the plot twist, everything I felt during that whole roller coaster of a book, yeah, Completely Valid. And that is everything. Yeah, that is everything I've got as currently in Goodreads as a 5 star. There are a lot more that are 4.75 or 4.5 that I feel like, now I think about it, some of these 5 stars do deserve to be 5 stars. But do you know what? I rated them at the time of reading them. Things change, opinions change. That's the way it is. So regardless, I did have a really, really good time. But yeah, that is the current tier ranking. It's really interesting to see like what I rated 5 stars, and then I think about things I didn't rate 5 stars that deserve a 5 star way more than some of the books on here. But nonetheless, opinions change, our reading tastes change, and that is completely fine. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you've rated any of these 5 stars, or if you disagree with any of the ranking. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. And yeah, please subscribe, and hopefully I will see you again in the next one.